All right. Greetings, everybody. My name's, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Tom Wood. I'm the Western Territory Manager for the Organisan Corporation. I live here in Eastern Idaho. Kind of run around the Western here. I've had the privilege to meet a lot of you who are watching this and look forward to meeting many more of you. In my road travels and talking with farmers as we start explaining this technology and the modes of action, how this works, and our products and the constituents that are in here, why there's a lot of these questions that come back time and again. So we just thought this would be a good idea and a good opportunity to introduce everybody to Dr. Andre Blanchard. He is the gentleman that you hear is referred to as he's the mushroom we keep in the building just outside Lafayette, Louisiana. We feed him a little BS once in a while and keep him out of the sun, and he makes magical stuff grow. So he takes care of pretty well all our formulations. He was kind of the originator, figured out kind of the magic here of some of these extractions that we have and combinations that we have. He's been with the company literally as one of the originators here, started from ground zero with this. So anyway, we'll let Andre introduce himself a little bit here, and then we'll start off here. My question, I guess, first question we get all the time is, we focus mostly on chitosan here. That's obviously kind of the main key ingredient in our formulations, but we've got some other constituent components that are in here that I get asked frequently. Why do we have those, and why those specifically, and what are the modes of action off of those? So Andre, take it away. Dazzle us with your brilliance.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm the elusive originator, producer, manufacturer of O2IS and several other products that we make. I'm here in Broussard, Louisiana. Not sunny right now, but normally it is. But to answer Tom's question, the original material or product that we came up with that we all know as O2IS was a brainchild, for want of a better term, myself and Robin Borden, our CEO. Both of us were working for different companies at the time, and both of us knew through other interactions and associations, etc., that chitosan had a role to play in agriculture. My own history of it is way beyond that. I was involved in various industrial applications of chitosan, particularly in the oil field. But I've had a lot of experience since the late 90s with chitosan in a whole range of different activities, from manufacturing to formulation to R&D, a whole raft of different things. So I've been exposed to it a lot. Agriculture is relatively new, I guess, in that regard for me, but I was always aware that there was a presence and an interest of chitosan, in agriculture. So about 10, 12 years ago, we had come up with an idea of that's what I'm trying to think of here, adding, for want of a better term, a component to an organic fertilizer that was being produced by a company that we were working with. And Robin and I came up with the idea of putting chitosan in there. And I think up until that point, a lot of people were thinking of chitosan as a solid, which it is. And we had the capacity where I was working to formulate chitosan in a number of different liquid forms. And that really lent itself to being a very useful additive to that organic fertilizer. So the original application, as it was, of chitosan from our perspective into agriculture was through this organic fertilizer application. It was a pelletized chicken litter. And one of these days, I guess we'll invite Mark Nichols in here, our VP of Sales, to expound, as it was, on his experience with that, because he was using it in a lot of landscaping applications, in things that he was doing back then. So he was one of the original sort of cheerleaders behind this. On top of that, we've also figured out that there were other agriculturally interesting materials that we could add to that chitosan mixture that would probably help it incorporate better into that pellet. And the easiest one, or the most accessible one that we knew of at the time, was from yucca shigadera. And we've managed to source sustainable sources of this stuff, and we still use the same sources of this yucca. And what the yucca did for these pellets back in the day was several things. One, it actually produced a better pellet because it helped the material get through the dyes of the pellet a lot better. So we had that feature. The second thing was it acted as a surfactant. Excuse me. It helped to incorporate the chitosan more uniformly within the matrix of that pellet. And thirdly, once it got out into the field, as it would, once it was applied, then it actually helped for the soil wetting in the vicinity of where it was being applied to allow that chitosan to get out and do what it was going to do. So there were a number of benefits in there. And initially, when we were supplying that material, it was done in two different containers. We had a chitosan container and we had one with yucca. And I don't remember who it was. I'll give the credit to Robin and say, well, why don't we put everything together? So, well, okay, we can do that. And so we did it. And that's really where O2YS was born. And if I can do a quick aside, we still have the original gallon that we made, which is dated November 2008. So nice. It's still there. It's a prized possession, and it'll probably be just as good, if not better, than the day it was made. So it's one of the history topics that we like to talk about here. It's the original gallon that we have of O2YS that we made. Going forward from there, the next real product down the line was O1YS. And O1YS is really nothing more than an organic OMRI-listed version of O2YS. The active ingredients are exactly the same. Some of the proprietary ingredients are a little bit different to allow it to be used in organic agriculture. After O1YS, we came up with the Enhancer series. And the Enhancer series is a little bit more advanced formulation. What we found over the years is that we're able to tweak, control, for want of a better term, the components of the chitosan itself in the mixtures that we use. So by doing these sorts of controls, we're able to fashion certain activities in some of these products to favor some activities over others. On top of that, with the introduction of our pesticide Nemastan and also the Enhancer the Enhancer products, we brought in a third active ingredient, Quilea, from the soap bark tree, which is down in Argentina and Chile. Again, it's another one of these sustainable sourced materials. The Quilea saponins, these active surface active ingredients that are in that material, are different from yucca. They're a different chemistry. They have a slightly different activity. They're still surface active. They're still saponins. Saponins are a wide variety of different materials. They're found in a variety of different plants. Commercially, Quilea and yucca are probably the only two that we know of. But the Quilea saponins are based, like I said, on a different chemistry. These materials called triterpenes. And there's another group called diterpenes and monoterpenes. It's all big fancy words, which we don't have to get into right now, but lend an additional element to the activity of some of these products. So when, Tom, when you're out there in the field talking to your customers and, interested parties, certainly mentioning the Quilea would be in the products that have it would be a benefit. The Quilea itself is known to have, for example, nematicide, and we think and have some evidence of from the literature a number of other different pesticidal properties. There's certain insecticidal properties, there's anti-feeding type properties, larvicidal type properties. Or just being a general retardant, because triterpenes to small organisms aren't very, very friendly. So in that regard, the Quilea has a multitude of effects, though primarily it's added in the products as a surfactant in the adjuvant line. Going on to my involvement here with O2YS, Organisan Corporation and O2YS Corporation. I'm here down in Broussard, Louisiana. I run the factory. I formulate all the products. I package them. I acquire all the raw materials. I arrange the shipping. We arrange all of the QA and QC of the products, the technical development, any R&D that may happen. If people call up and may, for example, want a special formula or a different formula from what we have that they want a private label, we can do that. And additionally, what we also run through here, the regulatory side, because we do manufacture pesticide here, so there's EPA regulations that are involved, and we have to comply with certain regulations there. So all of those different activities fall underneath my tent. So I do try to keep busy, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why I'm one of the mushrooms that you mentioned, that I don't get to see much sunlight.
Absolutely. One of the questions I get, maybe you could clarify for us, what is the relationship between O2YS and Organisan? How does that work?
Okay. The original company that we formed back in the day was O2YS Corporation. And
with the number 2.
I beg your pardon?
With the number 2, not to be confused
yes, with the number
product
2, yes,
O2 with the Roman numerals.
Pronounced exactly the same way, but written with a number 2. And in my limited travels, I've heard this pronounced a number of different ways. I think probably the funniest was Aussies. I was trying to figure out how you get a Z from a 2, but it's not. I guess it's not that far beyond the realm of imagination. But our O2YS Corporation was the original company that we had, and we have basically the O1 and the O2 YS products that are in that company. Since then, we've formed the new company, Organisan Corporation, and Organisan Corporation is largely a sort of sales and marketing arm, as it was. And the relationship really between Organisan and O2YS is a manufacturing client, or their client, let's put it that way. So Organisan has either new products, it can talk with O2YS, and you come up with some strategy, and away we go. But all the new products that we've come up with are all within the Organisan Corporation umbrella.
All right, nice. Thanks for that bit of clarification. That is some questions I get asked. Yeah, it's a very unique company name. The O2YS seems to really stick in people's minds. But good. Yeah, like I say, then I get asked about the OYS, the OYS, so it's O2YS with Roman numerals, or O1YS with a Roman numeral. So anyway, that gives everybody a little background and clarification as to where the names and some of the formulation and some of the stuff came from. So anyhow, we want to certainly thank Dr. Blanchard here for joining us tonight. The man is an absolute just encyclopedia cornucopia of knowledge, and very technical. I can explain how this works. You want to know the chemistry, very technical side of things. If I call you back and I dazzle you with brilliance, that's because I just gleaned it all from Andre. So he is a chemist du jour. So, well,
the other thing I guess to probably add, Tom, is we have a number of PowerPoint presentations that I'm working on. They're going to be directed towards the ag end, because you and I talk quite a bit on the phone quite often after you've had some interaction with, customers, growers, what have you. And these things tend to spurn some additional thinking on our end. And in light of that, I think it's going to help the audience to know in a little bit more detail, probably maybe either having some of these, a few slides of these PowerPoints as a sort of a targeted way to sort of illustrate some of these things. I have one right now that's pretty much ready to go, which is more of a technical description of chitosan itself, kind of explaining some of the features of chitosan as a material, sure. Which I'll probably going to narrate and put up on the website somewhere. But certainly the other ones, I think, are going to merit some attention to them, because they do tend to dovetail with a lot of the things that you're bringing to me. And I think all around these things can probably just give everybody a better education as to what's going on. Sure. And so we can have more targeted discussions on certain sort of niche topics.
Right.
within this whole framework of chitosan in agriculture and these other materials that we have, these saponins, et
Fantastic.
cetera.
Yeah, that's one thing that we discuss here once in a while, is that it's not only the sales side of things and the product, you know, the backup and the support, but there's a tremendous amount of education that goes into this. Because even though chitosan has been used in agriculture and in certain realms, in certain circles, it has been well known for decades now. But generally, I'll run into pockets. People, chitin seems to be a little more awareness there, but the derivative product of it, like the chitosan, there certainly is some education that comes with this. And as people become educated with this technology and this molecule and what it is capable of, and we just kind of let farmers kind of start to figure out where to put this into a protocol and where this fits in an operation, and we're more than happy. We figure out protocols and timing rates and stuff like this all the time. And as we get customer feedback and consumer demand, we are usually always pursuing the next label. Like, we're always looking for the next product to help the marketplace to fit with stuff. So there certainly is new products always underway here. And Andre spends a lot of time with EPA and government, and it's a good thing he does it, because it's just a good thing Andre's in charge of that. So
the other thing,
so anyway, we want to say,
going into the technology side of this thing, I mean, chitosan in itself as a material is known in agriculture. I think what we're bringing to the table is that, for want of a better term, on steroids. We're bringing an entirely sort of widened arena with chitosan and what it can do for you in agriculture. So we're not just chitosan. It's not just a simple substance. There's a lot of technology behind all of that.
Yes.
And it certainly helps if the audience is more, as it was educated as it was to what it is that we're talking about.
The analogy I like to use all the time that seems to make sense is that if you liken this between crude oil and gasoline, the chitin is kind of the crude oil. That's a substance. You can throw it out, throw a match, you'll get some kind of reaction out of it. But the chitosan is the derivative of the chitin, and same thing with crude oil to gasoline. It's now more predictable. You know what's going to happen. And with Dr. Blanchard's technology here and some of these techniques and extractions that he has figured out, I would even dare venture to say that we now are a step above gas. We're getting into that 117 octane rating race fuel that we all know smells so good if you're into that stuff. So it's we're set apart a little bit here in the marketplace. So anyhow, I want to thank Dr. Blanchard for his time here. And like I say, we look forward to your PowerPoints. We have a joke in the company here about Andre's whiteboarding abilities. I say when it comes to chemistry stuff, the man has no end. So anyhow, we want to thank Dr. Blanchard and thank everybody for tuning in and watching this with us. So y'all take care, be safe, best farming to you, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Tom.